Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of Media here, and we have reached a new low when it comes to the Epstein investigation because we are seeing that cover up pushed forward to an extent that they just hope that we're living in 1984 and war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. As Jeffrey Epstein, they say, didn't have a client list and committed suicide. DOJ and FBI say in findings that debunk conspiracy theories, according to a report. And by the way, this is blatantly a cover up. This is an absolute joke. It's a complete lie. And we are going to dig into some things regarding this cover up that I have not seen any other people in independent media or mainstream, either of them, report on, because we have information that we have not forgotten over the years that we have compiled in this video today that I think you're going to want to see. So we're going to get into that and much more today. Remember, my friends, we've been talking about this issue for many, many years. Here's a video of that we did in early 2017 on this issue. We just talking about, the cover up overall, the blackmail that Epstein was involved in. I've been talking about this since 2008 or 9 about. I did this video, Jeffrey Epstein arrested, back on the day that he was arrested, where I said that most likely he will be suicided or killed. This commenter got it right. He will probably suicide or have an accident while under custody. Which then just days later, we did this video, Jeffrey Epstein is dead. No one is buying the official story. We have a lot to go into today. We've been talking about this issue for a very long time, and I want to make it clear that nothing has changed. We still believe what we've always believed, that he was a blackmail agent for Mossad. But before we get into this, my friends, I urge you to check those links below and help support us if you can. Go and check out gogetfunding.com, Patreon or Subscribestar, and help support us, keep us alive. We have lost 90% of revenue for daring to speak out against both sides of the political paradigm and being consistent and not, bowing on our knees to offers. Like, we've gotten $1 million offers to just host news shows for networks, and we've turned it down because I refuse to say what they tell me to say. So you guys are helping keep us alive as we've gone bankrupt, and then we lost 90% of our income on top of being bankrupt since January. So anything helps, my friends. GoGetFunding.com, Patreon or Subscribestar. If you pledge $4.99 a month or more on Patreon or Subscribestar or on X at World Alt Media, you'll get exclusive content. We also have a Bitcoin address you could scan on the screen here or check out in the description of our video, among many other cryptocurrencies at our Cointree link, including privacy coins. So we truly appreciate anything you guys can do to help keep us alive. We're also on Rumble and BitChute, where you can go and subscribe as well, and hit that like button, share on social media, hit the notification bell, and hit subscribe if you have not yet already. Now, let's get into this. So, Jeffrey Epstein didn't have a client list, they said, and committed suicide, DOJ and FBI say in findings that debunk conspiracy theories. Now, let me get this straight. He didn't have the client list you said was on your desk just months ago, Pam Bondi, and then said that you lost. He is on video suddenly. The jail cell's on video with the security tape that you guys said never existed because there are problems with the security footage and all the footage was lost. Okay. And on top of that, you say that he committed suicide after saying that you had all this evidence that he didn't commit suicide. So the list, the video, the suicide, all of that suddenly flips 180, and we're supposed to believe it. This is exactly why people don't have faith and should not have faith in politics, because it's one big cover up. We're talking about one of the biggest blackmail operations out of Israel and the CIA in the last decade. So this is a claim. And I just want to make it clear that this is what they're actually saying. It says notorious sex predator Jeffrey Epstein didn't keep a supposed client list, and he was not murdered during his short stay in a Manhattan lockup, the Justice Department and FBI reportedly concluded in a joint probe. The investigation, the results of which were detailed in a memo obtained by Axios, also found no evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals. The Trump administration plans to release a video to prove the agency's findings on Epstein's 2019 death, which bred mounds of conspiracy theories. And I quote, "He's the only person in there and the only person coming out, you can see it," FBI Director, Deputy Director Dan Bongino said in late May. Dan Bongino previously saying there's no doubt that it was a cover-up and he's going to expose it. Same with Kash Patel. Both of them absolute scammers. I've hung out and had dinner with Dan Bungie, many, many years ago, and he seemed like a nice guy. Well, what I'm seeing here is the exact opposite, but no shock there, of course. And by the way, 1 minute of the video footage is missing from what they released from the cell. DOJ, FBI, no evidence Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed anyone, kept clientless, or was murdered. Okay, well, let's get into this a little bit deeper. So this is from disclosed.tv saying there's no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. That's why Trump is pushing in the chair for Netanyahu, getting that golden beeper. Of course, doing whatever the Israeli government says, just like the Biden administration before it. It's all one big show. This is how they do this. Mossad agents get blackmail on people, and Epstein is probably not even a real person, probably a character. No one saw him on Wall Street making all of his big money. No one remembers him. He just shows up out of nowhere back in the 80s and with Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father, Robert Maxwell, was, of course, a major Mossad agent. Okay, so we're supposed to believe this. Now, moving on here, FBI says it will release never before seen footage of Jeffrey Epstein proving he died by suicide. Now, in the video that they did indeed release, which is hard to find when you Google it right now, but I saw it this morning, it just shows a prison cell door. And then you see way down below on the first floor, some guards walking, 3 of them. But again, it doesn't prove anything. First of all, easily able to fake that video. Just take a video from another day and put a different timestamp on it. Who's going to investigate the FBI? If the FBI is doing the investigations, who's going to investigate the FBI? Exactly. And it's missing 1 minute of footage as it stands. And of course, that is going to be their main evidence, and nothing to see here. Move along, move along. Meanwhile, if we look back in time, here's an article from January 10th, 2020. Jeffrey Epstein, jail CCTV erased by technical errors. What happened to that? We're just supposed to forget about it. Again, don't believe your own eyes. Don't listen to your own ears and speak no evil. This is the classic example of a cover-up and them gaslighting you, my friends. They are gaslighting you. Misconduct by federal jail guards led to Jeffrey Epstein suicide, DOJ watchdog says. That was from June 27th, 2023. Weird how Biden's Department of Justice has put out more evidence of an Epstein cover-up than the Trump administration. My friends, if you fell for the Trump lie, which I've been saying since 2016 was a part of a major psyop, then I don't know what to tell you. But of course, we know all that money disappeared suddenly and started moving from bank account to bank account at Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan after Epstein allegedly died. And of course, Jess Staley was a major player in that by the looks of it over at JP Morgan. And we have all this information already existing out there of them erasing the video, but now suddenly they say, oh, we have the video, and then they release it, they say. And look at us, we've proven our point. Well, we did not forget that you previously said that the video was erased and then it doesn't exist. So, but okay, just release a video from the day before or something to make it look legit. Okay, great. Now, the Trump administration has dramatic ties to Epstein. Okay, not just Trump himself, who spent a lot of time with Epstein, partied with him, flew around places with him, brought his family to hang out with him multiple times, just like the Clintons. No whataboutisms. Don't comment below some whataboutism. What about Clinton? What about? Yeah, we know they're all involved with the same predator here, the same blackmail agent. But as Zero Hedge pointed out back in May, Epstein's lawyer brokered plea deal based on intelligence ties while not knowing about them. Okay, so this is a big one. This is regarding one of the main people involved in the Trump administration's first term. And of course, that would be Alex Acosta, Southern Florida attorney, who in 2007 chose not to press charges against Epstein despite numerous young girls alleging abuse. Acosta reportedly did so because he was told that Epstein belonged to intelligence and that it was above his pay grade and to leave it alone. This is what he said to the transition team at the time. And he, of course, was working with Mossad, and this was well understood at the time. Okay, now here's the other one. Trump defends Labor Secretary Acosta over Epstein plea deal. Here's Trump, backing up Acosta. And that is not where it ends. Now, this is an article from back in November 2015 that I dug up here. And it says Clinton fundraiser held next door to Jeffrey Epstein's house. Now, who was living next door to Jeffrey Epstein? A guy named Howard Lutnick. A guy named Howard Lutnick, who just happened to have just been the head of Trump's transition team, holding a Clinton fundraiser at his house in 2015 next door to Jeffrey Epstein. And they were all tied to Sheldon Adelson and Miriam Adelson, who basically was Israeli intelligence, who was one of the biggest fundraisers for Donald Trump. Of course, Howard Lutnick was head of Cantor Fitzgerald. And the house that he lived in next to Epstein, at one point, Epstein lived in it himself, but was moved next door by a friend who bought his house and put him in the most infamous place, where the FBI claimed they found countless videotapes of blackmail, and then suddenly that disappears, and we've lost those tapes. It's just the connection here. I haven't seen many people putting this together. And meanwhile, Jeffrey Epstein's ex says he boasted about being a Mossad agent. Okay, he is living next door to his friend, Howard Lutnick, who was a Clinton fundraiser and then head of the Donald Trump transition team. Acosta, the labor secretary under Trump, gave a plea deal to Epstein to set him free after knowing that he was raping people and trafficking children because he worked for the CIA and or Mossad. And meanwhile, they're saying that they are releasing the footage from Epstein at his prison cell, which I've already seen, missing 1 minute of it, while previously saying that they had erased the footage. And there was misconduct, according to the Biden DOJ, of in the federal jail of Epstein by guards at that time. Okay. So now we have all these other examples. We had lunch in Israel once. New questions swirl over Epstein's intelligence links, where we see Alan Dershowitz claim that in a 2025 interview that he that there was a deal that was influenced by Epstein's supposed affiliation with intelligence, but later hedged his statement. Former Mossad handler Ari Ben Menashe and others allege Epstein orchestrated honeypot operations for Mossad targeting political figures. By the way, I have someone that I'm going to be interviewing soon who was high up in the CIA, and I'm looking forward to breaking this down with him a little bit as well. Epstein's ties include connections to Mossad agent Robert Maxwell, financier Leslie Wexner, and Israeli-aligned hyper-surveillance networks. Now, Leslie Wexner, I believe, was majorly involved in getting Epstein his home in New York. He also had his home in New Mexico, where he had an airstrip. He had a schoolhouse, an underground lair, and a saloon to make it look like a Wild West town, which Clinton brought his own daughter to regularly. Every year for a vacation. Shifting narratives from Dershowitz and FBI official Dan Bongino amplify scrutiny over U.S. accountability and intelligence secrecy, it says here. So, moving on, people are pissed off. Gunther Eagleman says, right now, my trust in government is at zero. On my desk and truck full is what we were told. The lies are blatant. Someone has some explaining to do. People have to go to jail. Well, it's a blackmail operation for Israel. I doubt the U.S. actually has any absolute client list. They're videos, and they're owned by Israel, by this character they created called Jeffrey Epstein. So they're never going to release the blackmail that they have on politicians because they need that in order to make sure that the narrative stays the same. And Trump is just as part of a deep state as anyone else. Elijah Schaefer says, honestly, Mossad is pretty damn impressive. Insane, but you have to hand it to them. They can rape your kids, blackmail your politicians, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you speak out, you're an anti-Semite. They control both parties and the media. This is impressive. Even Elon Musk, who was friends with Epstein himself or connected in some way to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and of course is a major Trojan horse for technocracy, says, what's the time? Oh, look, it's no one has been arrested o'clock again. The official Jeffrey Epstein pedophile arrest counter set at 0000. Patrick Bet-David, who bows to Israel, says, shocking. The DOJ and FBI have officially determined, 1, there's no proof Jeffrey Epstein was murdered. 2, that he didn't maintain a list of clients. 3, nor did he blackmail high-profile individuals. This is a terrible look on the FBI and the DOJ. No one believes this, not his haters, not his supporters, not his diehard supporters, not even Ghislaine Maxwell. And this is happening as we see all these other cases fall through. Fat Joe allegedly forced former hype man to perform 4,000 sex acts with women while he watched. And they say it includes underage girls. Then this out of New York Post, Diddy's ex-assistant denies being his drug mule while revealing he kept stock of Tusi, other narcotics. But of course, the Diddy trial fell through and he was let off on most charges because, again, he was a government blackmail agent. I don't believe that someone got raped 37 times when they're going back to him every single time, never go to the police. I don't buy that. What I do know is we have him on video beating women. We have multiple undercover videos that show that he clearly went after people that were underage, including young boys that are in the music industry. I believe that he was another answer to that blackmail system because way too many people ended up friends with him and then silenced in the face of what happened with Diddy. Again, this is something I have been talking about for a very long time. Talking about the Lolita Express here back all those years ago on November 21st, 2017. This is not anything new to me. And of course, I predicted his death because, well, his so-called death, because it was always going to be obvious that something like this would happen. They always say Trump banned Epstein from his club. Okay, well, why did he have a lawsuit over the molestation of a 12-year-old alongside Epstein, 1-1, back in, I believe it was around 2011, 2012? Why was he involved in that lawsuit? So let me just refresh here. Massive cover-up over Jeffrey Epstein by the Trump administration, continuing the cover-up where they say there was no client list and he committed suicide after the FBI says they found video in Epstein's Manhattan apartment of his blackmail operation and his clients. It's clear that he was Mossad. They're saying there's no credible evidence. They release the video from his jail cell missing 1 minute after saying that the CCTV video was erased by technical errors, saying under the Biden administration's DOJ that there's misconduct by federal jail guards that led to Jeffrey Epstein's suicide. They have Trump's attorney, labor secretary, I should say, Epstein's attorney, Acosta, getting a plea deal saying that Epstein was CIA or Mossad, belonged to intelligence, which he was told to drop the case, which they found out in the 2017 Trump transition team hearings. And speaking of transition team hearings, the Clinton fundraiser held next door to Jeffrey Epstein's house was held at Cantor Fitzgerald's Howard Lutnick's house, who was the head of Trump's transition team after Epstein boasted about being Mossad. And we are supposed to believe there's no cover up here. Epstein is Mossad. Epstein got blackmail on politicians, which they still need in order to continue to push their narratives on the public. This is how they do this. So they need a cover up. Trump sold out his entire base long ago. Everything from injections to, of course, war, bombing places in the Middle East for Israel, which again owns Epstein, throwing out the JFK files, essentially giving us a complete garbage, previously saying that Epstein's list was on their desk. They had a truckload of it. They looked at it. It's all there. It's mind blowing. Then saying that they're holding it back due to national intelligence reasons, or national security reasons, rather. Freudian slip there. And then saying there's nothing to see here. Don't worry. Epstein was not a blackmail agent. Epstein totally committed suicide. Everything that they claimed is a bunch of crazy conspiracy theories. Don't believe your own eyes and ears. Bury your head in the sand. That's what they're telling you. Truckload of evidence. We lost the evidence. There was never any evidence. There's never videotape. Actually, here's some videotape. Just believe us when we tell you. And moving on to the next thing, which our globalist masters want us to do. That is why you should not buy into politics. That is the epitome of sitting on your hands and never getting actual answers. They'll sprinkle a little thing over here and a little thing over here. That's called a limited hangout. It's a term by the CIA that tells you that claims that they will tell you part of the truth, but not the entirety of the truth, in order to misdirect you from the entirety of the truth. This should have been expected all along, and I always suspected it, because why would they release Mossad's blackmail operation, their whole sting, onto the public when they're utilizing this in order to push narratives onto the public, both from the left and the right side of the paradigm? Why? So for those of you out there, I urge you, by the way, I have 2 books behind me called One Nation Under Blackmail, Part 1, Volume 1, Volume 2 by Whitney Webb. Excellent books. I've been digging into this issue now for, let's see, 17 years. Epstein, about 17 years. I've been digging into the issues of so-called conspiracies and intelligence operations for 19 years, but Epstein for about 17 years. Peter Nygaard as well, from Winnipeg, Canada, who I called out many years ago. I went to the police about him back in about 2009, 2010, something like that, because he had allegedly raped my ex-girlfriend, who when she was raped was 14. This is a guy who talks about drinking women's blood, horrible stuff. And then I was called crazy and laughed out of the police station, and now he's in jail. And by the way, I've talked with his son about this since, and his son's a really good guy, trying to raise money for charity for women who've been battered and children who've been trafficked and all that kind of stuff. So, and people that have been hurt by his father. It's just, these operations continue. It's still happening right now. It's barely the tip of the iceberg. And then people are going to just sit on their hands and look the other way. Look into the CFS system, look into the CPS system, look into social services and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Look at Hollywood, look at the business industry, banking, etc., politics, and you'll find just an enormous amount of these cover-ups happening. And Epstein is just a guy that we all know about. But it gets far darker and far deeper. And yet here we are. Supposedly, we're supposed to pretend that nothing happened and we need to just move on now. Same with the JFK thing. This is how you do these limited hangout operations. So, of course, I'm going to see a lot of people, even actually in the mainstream alternative media, people are going, no, this is nonsense. But I don't see them pointing out those multi-tiered things there. Or Epstein's brother, who has been very vocal about the fact that he doesn't think Epstein killed himself. But again, his brother could very well be part of that intelligence operation anyway. The point is, I believe that there's a very good chance Epstein wasn't an actual person. It's a fake name given to an agent. I think looking at his face and looking at the way the strange ways his face contorted and everything, that he might have been literally wearing a mask. I don't know. Just some theories out there. I don't know. But one thing I do know is that Everything that the DOJ and the CIA and the FBI had previously said, they're now going back up. FBI says they have tapes in Epstein's New York mansion, and now they're gone. They've seen children on video with these powerful people, the FBI. They haven't released it. Now they say they don't have them. Now they say there's no evidence of any of this blackmail operation. Okay, so the obvious answer here is maybe they actually don't have much of that information. They have some. Maybe Israel has all of that information, considering Epstein, again, boasted about being Mossad and was given a plea deal over that exact issue. But we're just going to forget about that and pretend that nothing is happening and just move on. Absolutely sick. There are so many children that were brought to his home. There were countless people being fed to that Epstein network, including from immigration, including from ICE. Children trafficked from the US government to care homes that were known sex trafficking dens. It's absolutely the height of evil, what we've witnessed. And this video will likely be taken down from YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, definitely follow us on Rumble and BitChute. There's no reason to look at us on YouTube. It's ridiculous. They've already taken us down for 5 years. They're going to take us down again. They're only putting us back on to collect information on myself and everyone else that's watching as a part of machine learning. But anyway, I figured it's good to reach those people anyway if I can. Make sure to subscribe on Rumble and BitChute. And again, as one of the original people who spoke out against this issue all those years ago, I urge you to help support us if you can. We have gogetfunding.com, Patreon, and Subscribestar. We really appreciate any help we can get. We could not survive without you. You guys keep us alive and keep us up and running and make it so that we can continue to report on these things that we've been warning about for a very, very, very long time before most people even knew who Epstein was. So we have gogetfunding.com, Patreon, and Subscribestar. If you pledge $4.99 a month or more on Patreon or Subscribestar, you will get exclusive content. Same with on X at World Alt Media if you subscribe there. We have a PayPal address, ancientwonderstelevision@gmail.com. We have a Bitcoin address on the screen as well as in the description of this video as well, which you could scan here if you want. And of course, we have our Cointree link with a bunch of different cryptocurrencies that you could donate in if you please, including privacy coins. We truly appreciate any help we can get. And of course, we urge you to get prepared for what comes next. Check out heavensharvest.com for long-term storable food that's non-GMO. There's organic kits, heirloom seeds, water filtration and storage, and books on how to get started. Use code WAM, W-A-M, and you'll get 5% off as well as free shipping on these items. So make sure you are prepared because they are utilizing all this. This all leads to, if you see this cover up, you have to understand where this is leading. This leads to a complete control of humanity via technocracy, via social credit, digital IDs, etc. And eventually the rationing of your food, which again, if you are not totally independent, then you, or to at least to a great degree independent, then you are going to fall prey to it. So that's heavensharvest.com, code WHAM. Of course, we have whambeef.com for 10 plus year shelf life, freeze-dried steak, 12 servings per bag. There's also freeze-dried chicken and freeze-dried ground beef as well. Use code WHAMBEEF, WAMBEEF, all one word, and you will get 20% off on your order. A big no-brainer here. Guaranteed no mRNA, no lab-grown meat, all American beef that's 100% natural. Go and check it out at whambeef.com. Highly recommend people get on this today. We have a lot of other links, including health links that you can find on our Rumble and BitChute that I can't mention in this video today, but we have ways to avoid the CBDC system. firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/ has to be that exact link where you could buy physical gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, hold it in your hands, put it in a vault, or put it in an IRA outside of the traditional IRA system. Schedule an appointment for a free consultation with our friend Mark Gonzalez and a complimentary investors package you'll get with that. And again, it has to be the exact link we mentioned with all the slashes and everything, because that's the only way you'll work with Mark. And let him know in the form, that in the comments of the form, that he found him at World Alternative Media, or WAM, WAM. Anyway, as we close this off, you can find us on Telegram, Rockfin, Band.video, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and Brighteon at World Alternative Media. We're on Hive, Steemit, and Vigilante.tv at Josh Sigurdson. We're on the Bad Guys, TikTok and Instagram, World Alternative Media, Twitter and Getter at World Alt Media, and all the major podcast sites except for Spotify, where, of course, we're banned. Hit that like button, share on social media, hit the notification bell, and hit subscribe if you have not yet already. And as always, my friends, live freely, live by example. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change.